Hi, Michael. I just wanted to say thank you so much for submitting your poems this week. It's been a pleasure to read them and also to correspond with you over email. Hopefully, my last email was clear, but as I said, if you have any questions, you could always just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to describe anything in more detail. The being on this side of an online class, it's like I'm just one person over here trying to make sense so that a group of 22 people understand it. And so if there's ever a moment where you're feeling like, oh no, how did that happen? What does that mean? Where does that come from? It's always helpful to hear that. And I deeply appreciate you sending me any feedback you might have on assignments or deadlines or how things are explained. Let's start with Java Jarheads, which, by the way, I love the alliteration and the humor in the title. It's really funny. So you asked if I feel that free verse is appropriate for this assignment or should it be structured. I think that's really the form that the poem takes is really up to you. I will say that in this particular instance, that this free verse feels a little bit more like notes towards a poem rather than a poem itself. So I do feel like on the next edit, if you wanted to experiment with some line breaks, if you wanted to experiment with stanzas or different, play with the shape of this on the page, that could be really interesting. The other thing I would recommend is if you want to do it free verse and you still want to experiment with the shape of the page, what if you were to do, for example, 2-inch or 3-inch margins on each side of the page so that you're looking more at a block of verse rather than a paragraph? I feel like sometimes the form really reveals some things that are hidden in a poem if we give it the opportunity to. So I would recommend, if you're asking that question, to play around with form and see what happens with this piece. I do think that the poem has lovely detail. I don't think that that's a concern. The second poem, inspired by Robert Frost, Nothing Gold Can Say. I noticed that you didn't include questions here, so just, a reminder to please include questions to help direct your writing group and myself in giving you the feedback that you would find most useful. But what I will say is I think that you did a lovely job um, of mimicking the poem, of tracing the poem. Um, I really like the rhyme scheme. I'm more, I find myself more on the side of deferring to appreciating poems that don't rhyme, unless it's done really well. And I think this poem is done really well. Um, and yeah, I mean, it has such a sense of longing and such a sense of sadness. So that's what I'm walking away with from this piece. So thank you so much. I look forward to hearing more.